Good morning, everyone. We are coming to you just give me a few minutes here. Good morning, everyone. There was a little hitch in connecting to Facebook streaming, so there was a delay because of that reason. We are coming to you live via Facebook streaming, via YouTube streaming, also via Skype online. Introduction to Vigyan Bhairav Tantra continues. But before I go into that, I would like to explain certain things about Guru Purnima. A few aspects has remained. Guru means master. Purnima means the full moon day. Why it is celebrated in the month of Asad, which is July, full moon day. Every month there is a full moon. Every month there is a full moon. Because of the cycle of the moon, it takes 15 days to complete a new moon cycle as well as full moon cycle. So each month there is a new moon and there is full moon. Then why it is only the Asad month, which is July, the rainy season, is chosen as? There is winter full moon, which is beautiful. The sky is clear. Moon in its full glory. In rainy season, the sky is covered with all colors of clouds scattered all over. Moon remains hidden behind. Moon is there, but sometimes it is visible, sometimes it is not visible. It is symbolic. It is a poetic expression. If you can understand this poetic expression, you will know why it is celebrated in the month of Asar. A master is surrounded by disciples who are at different levels of spiritual growth, spiritual understanding. Each one of them carries a different amount of negativities within, which needs to be dissolved in order for the process to continue. Different colors, dark, light, grayish, different colors of clouds scattered in the sky represent the disciples. The moon is visible sometimes. Maybe a particular disciple realizes the importance of the master depending on a particular level of growth. Sometimes, even in the state of negativity, one gets the flashes. These flashes of the significance of the master becomes important because it is like a lightning. In the lightning in the sky, you see something. You are traversing along the life's path. A particular gesture of the master appeals to you. This becomes your beacon. This becomes your guidance. So this is the reason that a disciple is symbolically, poetically expressed through the clouds of different colors and shapes scattered in the sky during the rainy season on the full moon. Moon is always there, but it continues to play hide and seek. When the clouds cover the moon, moon is not visible, but that does not mean the moon is not there. The master is always there. In Islamic tradition, Allah said that this place will never be without Pagambar. But it means the Islamic tradition uses the word Nabi or Pagambar. Hindus use the word avatar, incarnation. Or simple language, the wise men are always around us. It depends on whether we are open to them or not. So between an ignorant one and the wise one, there goes on the game of hide and seek. So during the rainy season, there is hide and seek between the appearance of moon and the clouds. Clouds float in the sky, and during that time the moon, a certain part or completely moon is covered. So this is the reason the ancient sages have chosen the July month, which is according to Hindu calendar Asar or rainy season. The full moon in that month is considered as the Guru Purnima, the full moon day on that day. During winter, the sky is clear, moon is shining in its splendor. It is visible very easily, no effort is to be made. It has not been chosen as the occasion to celebrate the Master's Day. This is poetic, this is symbolic to explain the relationship between master and disciple. During the last streaming, because of sometimes time constraints, this particular aspect, the poetic expression of the significance of this day, had to be deferred for today. Now we continuing with the introduction to Vigyan Bhairav Tantra. As I explained, Vigyan means science, Bhairav means that which is beyond, Tantra means the science. There are many universities. Even if you take a particular university in the world, maybe Harvard University, where students from different countries, they come to do their studies, maybe let's say chemistry. They learn, they obtain a degree in chemistry, do their masters, do their PhD. But the language which is used in Harvard University is English. But after finishing your studies, some will go to their native land, and if somebody is staying in a particular place called A, where the symbols will differ, the language will differ, the same professor who has studied at the Harvard University will have to use the language, symbols from around the environment. One who is teaching the same subject in another language, maybe any particular aspect of the chemistry, he will use different symbols. Symbols will be different, examples will be different. You have to use the examples that are easily understood by the students whom you are teaching. You cannot use the example of river Thames while you are teaching in Egypt. You have to take the example of the river that flows there. So there may be difference, because Vigyan Bhairav Tantra evolved in the continent of India amidst the Hindu community, Hindus, or it is wrong to use the word Hindu, Sanatan, that which is eternal, that which is never born, never dies. But the Sanatan word is Hindu. So those who are non-Hindu, they will not like this. If you are visiting a particular country and you get sick, you go to the hospital, would you stop using the treatment because this person belong to a different Akida, faith, or anything else? No, it does not happen. When it comes to religion, it is very prominent, and that is the saddened part of it. Who is responsible for it? That is not my concern. Tantra means by doing you come to know. Doing becomes the knowing. I am not teaching you theory. Shiva is not teaching theory to propounding theories. That means entering into the realm of philosophy, and it has nothing to do. There is no other way of knowing by doing it. That is why the practical training is. You want to learn electrical, you go in the company of the one who is an auto electrician, staying around him, doing small things to big things, you learn, you know the auto electrical work, then you can start up your own shop. Unless you do something, unless you change, unless you have a different perspective to look into, to look with, to look into, and to look with, that is becomes your tool to look with. Unless you move an altogether a different direction with a different intelligence, there is no answer possible. Answers can be given, they are all lies. All philosophies are lies. You ask a question and philosophy gives an answer round about. You want to visit a country. You want to know about it. You come to me. I take the map of the country and take my finger or the any other device and point out, this is the boundary of this country. This is this place. This is this tourist place. Will that help you to understand? Will that help you to understand what this place is all about? The map of the country is not the country. The boundaries on which you are moving your finger to point out, this is the country that you are visiting, this is the tourist spot, is not going to help. So whether you are a Hindu or a Muslim or a Christian or a Jain, it makes no difference. Nobody, no Muslim, no Hindu, no fundamentalist says that I will not use electricity because it is invented by a Christian. If you do so, it is foolhardy, it is stupidity. But we do not, but doing these things when it comes to the religion is considered right. No one denies that I will not use the television because it is made in China, not in my country, not by the man of my Aqidah, my faith. The real person behind the facade of a Hindu, Muslim or Christian is the same. Hindu child, Muslim child, Christian child is conceived the same way. There is no different process for a Muslim or a Hindu or a Christian. No Hindu, you may say that I eat halal food, being a Muslim. Do you breathe the halal air? Answer yourself. All that is existential for life is the same for all. For every citizen, every inhabitant, all that is existential is the same. Why doesn't a Muslim use a halal air? Or just as you cannot eat any meat other than halal. So when it comes to the existential, breathing is an existential process. Without breath, And if you are in the room and there are other people, the Hindu is holding his Bhagavad Gita, the Christian is holding his Bible, the Muslim is holding his Holy Quran, and all of them are arguing. And the air that is in that environment is neither Hindu nor Christian nor Muslim, is not halal. It does not understand Islam. It does not understand bhajans. It does not understand the verses of Quran. And without this, you cannot survive. If you want to bring about transformation, you have to transcend beyond the finite boundaries of religion, caste and creed. Otherwise, you will remain as you are. You will not say that I am not going to go to this university because this professor is Christian or a Hindu. This morning he came, he did not eat the halal meat, so I cannot go to his class today. Only words differ, the appearances differ, clothes differ, faces differ, and they are the same face, which are false. Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, temples, they are all false. The man who is going to the church or the temple or the mosque basically remains the same, basically breathes the existential air. Only faces differ. They are faces which are false, like mask. Behind the mask you will find the same person. Hindu gets angry in the same way as Christian does, as a Muslim does. The aggression is same, the violence is same. Maybe you can, out of violence, you may use a different slogan, different words. Is there difference between Hindu sexuality or Muslim sexuality or Christian sexuality? Is Christian violence differs from Hindu violence? It is all same. The reality remains the same, only the outer appearance, clothes differ. You get angry in the same way, but you curse in the language of your mother tongue. Tantra is not concerned with your clothes, with your outer appearances. It is concerned with you. If you ask a question, it shows where you are. It shows that wherever you are, you cannot see. That is why there is a question. A blind man can ask, what is light? Philosophy will answer him, what is light? Tantra will know only this. If a man is asking what is light, it shows that he is blind. Tantra will start operating on the man, changing him so that he can see. Tantra will not say what is light. Tantra will tell you to attain insight, how to attain seeing, how to attain vision. When the vision is there, you get the answer. A child want to know what is moon? You can show him the pictures in the books and this and that. But on the full moon day, you bring the child out, point him towards the sky. What you're seeing there is the moon. Tantra will give you a technique to attain the answer. I recall when my father used to teach us the lessons, he will never answer the question directly. He will well it out of us. Sometimes it used to take a long process. I recall father was teaching the present, past and past participle, the three forms of a verb. So he gave the word put. Now we say talk, talked, like that. So my brother said put. Now in the same way talked, he said putted. P-U-T-T-E-D, putted. My father said no. Then he made an effort, put. He said no. Putted. No, it's not. He tried all. My father did not tell him what it is. Then he said, not all verbs follow the same pattern. Then after maybe the whole day went on into that, he did not explain to him, and my brother could not speak that the three forms of the word put is put, put, put. Not put, putted, put, putten. Is not. Otherwise, but that time Putin was not there, otherwise the Russian president when the vision is there, Tantra, you will understand. Now this answer is not going to be intellectual. So what he told him to do, and he continued to make an effort until it welled out of him, and that he will never forget. This was when we were 6-7 years of age. Now after 63 years, I have not forgotten that. If you say something about light to a blind man, this is intellectual. If blind man himself capable of seeing, it becomes existential. He will understand what light is. This is what I mean when I say Tantra is existential. It is scientific, it gives you a technique. Shiva is not going to answer Devi's questions. Still he answers. This is the first thing that you have to understand. He does not answer the way you think he will answer, yet still he answers. The second thing, Tantra is a different language. It has nothing to do with sexuality. Vigyan, Bhairav, Tantra explains different forms of the movement of the breath between nostrils to solar plexus. That is the channel through which the breath movement is. The nostril is the first terminal from where it enters. It is the center outside you, and solar plexus is the center within you. and breathing connects this outer center and the inner center through the movement of the air. Air enters through the nostrils, reaches the solar plexus, returns and goes out through the nostrils. It is like on top of the stove where you are cooking, there is a smoke. So there is, I do not recall at the moment the name, the particular instrument that is placed on top of the stove. It absorbs or exhaust. It does through that channel the extra fumes, and so whatever is emerging out of the process of cooking is thrown out rather than remaining within. The second thing is this: Tantra uses a different kind of language. You must know something about it before you enter into it. If you understand English language, that does not mean you are capable of understanding a chapter written on quantum physics or on organic chemistry or in sociology or in biology or in a medical book of anatomy because you understand the language. English is the script, not the language. Anatomy has its own language, chemistry has its own language, quantum physics has its own language. If you do not understand the language, the same script will bark at you. The words mean differently in each discipline. In each culture, the word means differently. Whenever the English language says that we want to know, we say, how are you? Or someone asks, how are things? You say it's good, or something like this. But in Trinidad we use colloquial language. I'll give you the example. How does the people speak? Me and know what happening, boy. Me and know what happening, boy. They do not say, I do not know what is happening. Me and know what is happening. I do not know what is happening. So the dialect changes. The Tantra uses its own language. The words mean differently. All the Tantra treaties are the dialogue between Shiva and his consort Devi. Devi questions and Shiva answers. All the Tantra treaties are the dialogue between the two. All the Tantra treaties start that way. And one thing more significant. In a class, there is a student, number of students, and a teacher. Teacher explains, there got to be a harmony between the teacher and the student. If the teacher is antagonistic towards a particular student, or a particular student is antagonistic, the communion is not possible. There has to be a lovingness, atmosphere of harmony and love within the classroom between the student and the teacher. Only then the message can be communed. So in Tantra, what it is happening, Shiva is in a state of meditation. Devi comes and asks certain questions. She sits down on the lap of Shiva. She could have sat down somewhere else, but it is symbolic. It symbolics the communion is happening in a most congenial, loving manner. Devi, with her head bent, looks towards Shiva. It is not staring, it is out of love. You look towards your spouse. There is a communion through the eyes. Many things which words cannot explain are explained through the movement of the eyes or the gestures. So, Shiva is sitting in meditation. Devi is sitting on his lap, looking with her head bent towards him. These are the minute details which are very important to understand the deeper aspects. When you look at any of the Buddhist scripture, the way Anand narrated it, thus came Tathagat, begins with thus. Thus means the continuation. There is no break. In Sanskrit, this word is used atha. Athato bhakti vyakhya syamaha in Narad Bhakti Sutra. Now I continue more on the sutras of devotion. Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Thus continues more on the awakening, understanding of ever-expanding consciousness. It is between the two. Tantra signifies this through in a very meaningful way, that the deeper teachings cannot be given unless there is love between the two. The disciple feels, the student feels a kind of lovingness towards the teacher, and the teacher feels something that this student is tremendously intelligent. If I pay a little attention to him, he will do wonders. There has to be lovingness between the two. The one who is explaining and one who is receiving. Even in ordinary things, the current flows through the wire. It reaches the terminal. From there it reaches the tube light. And there is a lovingness, if I use that language. There is harmony. It immediately works, and instantaneously the tube light is lit and there is light around it. Light, the whole house or the place gets illumined. The disciple and master become deep lovers. And unless this lovingness exists between the two, higher cannot be communed. The beyond, that which is wordless, that which is formless, cannot be expressed. So, lovingness is the language of vigyan, bhairav, tantra. This is the language of Upanishad. The very word is indicative of, it comes from three words, upa, ni, and shad. Upanishad. Upa means sit down. Ni means close. And shad is the verb that completes the meaning, come and sit near me. It is an expression of lovingness. In that atmosphere, the communion between master and disciple begins. And the different names are given to the Upanishads because in one Upanishad a particular theme is explained by the master to the disciple. A particular scripture is known as Prashna Upanishad. Prashna means question. 6 disciples of advanced stage, like 6 PhD scholars, are reaching PhD scholars in physics are reaching Albert Einstein, who is the godfather of physics, to know more about the science. So 6 disciples approach the master. The master listens to each one of them questions, and he says, you have to remain around me so that you can understand, do what I ask you to do. Then after 1 year, if I feel to answer your question, I will answer. In watching an awakened one, just watching an auto electrician, the novice begins to learn the trade. The auto electrician says, bring this screwdriver, bring this, bring that, and so he watches him carefully, how he removes the bulb. So by watching it, he learns. So the language of Tantra is lovingness. The disciple must be in attitude of love towards the master. But not only this, because friends can be lovers. Tantra says disciple moves. Lovingness means receptivity. You are receptive to what is being communed. In the process of learning, receptivity is very important. If there is antagonism between the two people, antagonism does not allow receptivity. The disciple must be, and receptivity is a feminine quality, means whatsoever is communed, the other receives it. The current is the positive element. It is flowing. The tube light terminal, through its terminal, it is ready to receive that comes in. And the moment, it is a feminine aspect. That is why it is called male wire and the negative and the neutral. Everywhere this principle applies. The hot wire, the cold wire, and the earth means neutral. The current flows through the hot. The cold wire is receptive between the two a communion happens. There is illumination because tube light is lit. So disciple must be in a feminine receptivity. Only then something is possible. You need not be a woman to be a disciple, but you need to have a feminine attitude. Feminine, what is feminine attitude? Feminine attitude of receptivity. Receptivity is a feminine quality. Then Devi asks, it means the feminine attitude asks. Maybe Devi is physically also feminine. It is symbolic. Why this emphasis on the feminine attitude? Man and woman are not physically different. Men and women are not only physically different, but they are psychologically different as well. Sex is not only difference in the body, it is different in psychologies as well. A feminine mind means receptivity, total receptivity, surrender, lovingness. A disciple needs a feminine psychology. Otherwise, he will not be able to learn. You can ask, but if you are not open, if you do not have feminine receptivity, the answer will not reach you. You can ask a question and it still remain closed. That is why transformation does not happen. Otherwise, once you are given a response, that should be enough. It is, if you are closed, then the answer cannot penetrate you. Your doors are closed, you are dead and not open. A feminine receptivity means a womb-like receptivity in the inner depth, so that you can receive, and not only that, much more is implied. A woman is not only receiving something, the moment she receives something, it becomes a part of it, a part of her body. A child is received, the sperms are received, it becomes part of the feminineness. A child is received, a woman is conceived. The moment there is conception, child becomes, that process begins. Child becomes the part of the feminine body. It is not alien. It is not foreign. It has been absorbed into the bloodstream. Now the child will not live as something added to the mother, but as part of the mother. Just as the mother, child is not only received, the feminine body becomes creative and it helps the child to grow. A disciple needs a womb-like receptivity. Whatsoever is received is not gathered as dead knowledge. A dead knowledge does not grow. It must be like seed. It must grow in you. It must become blood and bones in you. It must become a part now. It must grow. The growth, it is the growth, first the receptivity, two aspects. First it has to be received lovingly, and only then the process of growth begins. And when the process of growth begins, transformation is possible. The receiver. That is why Tantra uses this device. Every treaty starts with Devi asking Shiva certain questions and Shiva responding to it. Devi is Shiva's consort, the feminine part. One thing more. Now, modern psychology says, the deeper aspect of psychology particularly says, the man is both man and woman. Half of you is contributed by sperm and half of you by the ovum. The sperm comes from the male, ovum comes from the female. Everything is bisexual, only amoeba is unisexual. Both sexes are there. This is a recent discovery in the West, but Tantra has known this as the most important concept for thousands of years. You must have seen the image of Shiva depicted as half man and half woman. Ardha means half, Nari means feminine, Ishwar, Ardhanari Ishwar, half male, half female. In Japan there is a statue of Buddha. From one side it looks a female, the other side it looks like male. Half man, half woman, psychologically. So, but how can it be depicted? It can be depicted only through the form. There is no other concept like it in the whole history of mankind. Shiva is depicted as half man, half woman. So Devi is not just like a consort, she is Shiva's other half. And unless a disciple becomes the other half of the master, it is impossible to communicate, to convey the higher techniques, the esoteric methods. When you become one, then there is no doubt. When you are one with the master, so totally one, so deeply one, there is no argument, no logic, no reason. One simply absorbs. One becomes a womb. No woman says that I will not receive the sperms that is entering my body. There is no argument, no logic, no reason. One simply absorbs. One becomes a womb, and then teaching begins to grow in you. And once the process of growth begins, transformation begins. That is why Tantra is written in the language of love. Something must be understood about love language. There are two types of language: logical language and love language. There is a basic difference between the two. This I will continue in tomorrow's session. The language in which something is communed. Logical language is aggressive, argumentative, violent. If I use logical language, I will become aggressive upon your mind. I will try to convince you, try to convert you, try to make a puppet out of you. My arguments are right, you are wrong. Logical language is egocentric. I am right or you are wrong. So I must prove that I am right and you are wrong. I am not concerned with you. I am concerned with my ego. Ego is always right. Love language is totally different. I am not concerned with my ego. I am concerned with you. Not concerned to prove something, to strengthen my ego. My concern is to help you to grow. It is a compassion that helps you to grow. Compassion is the highest form of love, transformed love. This we will continue is tomorrow's session. Until then, take care and do have a pleasant day.